Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really powerful and honestly, pretty unsettling theory about human history. It comes from Howard Bloom's book, The Lucifer Principle, and it's all about the hidden forces that shape our world, drive our conflicts, and reveal a dark truth at the very heart of who we are. And this quote, it just gets right to the core of the whole thing. What it's saying is that our greatest virtues and our worst vices aren't opposites. Nope, they're actually two sides of the very same coin. That impulse that helps us build incredible communities, that's the exact same impulse that can lead to the most horrific violence imaginable. So, this leads us to the central mystery, the big question we're tackling today. Why does devotion, things like loyalty, idealism, faith, all the stuff we admire, so often twist into a justification for hatred, war, and even genocide? Well, this explainer is going to unpack the answer by looking at three hidden forces that are always at play. Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's start with an idea that might seem a little backward at first. The greatest evils in history, they aren't usually the work of some lone crazy person. Think about it. Mass murder, revolutions, all-out war, these are the deeds of social groups, of people acting together for a cause they believe in. And this idea actually goes way back. Sigmund Freud talked about this. He said that when we get swept up in a crowd, our personal sense of right and wrong can just dissolve. We become impulsive, almost childlike, losing our ethical brakes and getting driven by these deep, unconscious emotions as the group mind just completely takes over. This brings us perfectly to our first hidden force, the idea that we aren't just individuals wandering around. We are, in fact, tiny components of a much larger social being. The book calls this a superorganism, and understanding this is absolutely crucial to solving the puzzle. We're all taught that evolution is about the survival of the fittest individual, but the Lucifer Principle argues that's not the whole story, not even close. More often than not, it's the survival of the social unit, the tribe, the nation, the movement, that comes first, even if it means individual people have to be sacrificed along the way. So what is a superorganism, exactly? Well, think of it like this. It's a complex creature that emerges from a bunch of simple parts. A single water molecule isn't much, right? But trillions of them together create a massive ocean. 26 letters are just symbols, but you arrange them the right way and they become Shakespeare. In this view, we're the letters, and society is the story we write together. And you see this principle in action absolutely everywhere. It's not just a human thing either. It's a worker ant that will gladly die for its colony. It's a kamikaze pilot in World War II, seeing his death not as an end but as a duty to his emperor. It's Mao's Red Guards, acting as one single entity, driven by this selfless and totally destructive zeal for their group's ideology. And get this, the flip side is just as powerful. Being part of the group isn't just a nice to have, it can be a biological necessity. Being cut off from it can literally be fatal. There's a story about a young chimp named Flint, whose mother died. He lost his only social bond, and soon after, he just withered away and died himself. It's almost like isolation triggers our own internal self-destruct button. Okay, so if we're all part of these giant superorganisms, what makes them tick? What animates them? Well, that brings us to our second hidden force, memes. And no, not the funny pictures on the internet. In this context, memes are ideas that behave just like genes, giving the superorganism its purpose and its direction. A meme here is a replicator. It's a unit of culture. It's an idea, a religion, a political theory, even a simple melody that leaps from one mind to another. It uses us, our brains, as its vehicle for survival and expansion, just like a gene uses a body. I mean, just look at the life of Marxism for a perfect example of a meme's power. This idea starts in one man's brain. It barely survives in this incredibly dense book that Russian censors thought was too boring to be dangerous. But then it catches fire. It eventually spreads to influence the lives and resources of nearly 2 billion people. That is the incredible power of a successful mind replicator. So this leads us to our third and final hidden force. These superorganisms, animated by these powerful memes, they don't just exist in a vacuum. No, they are in constant, ruthless competition with each other, all of it governed by one of nature's most fundamental laws, the pecking order. And status isn't just about ego or feeling good. This is hardwired biology. This table shows what happens inside our bodies. When you win, your testosterone rises, boosting confidence. When you lose, it plummets, and stress hormones flood your system, acting like a slow poison. Nature, literally, chemically, rewards the victor and punishes the loser. So what you get is this incredibly powerful feedback loop. When a group, a nation, a company, a sports team starts rising in the pecking order, its members get flooded with a chemistry of confidence. They start seeing opportunities everywhere and act more aggressively. But when a group falls, its members get hit with the chemistry of defeat. Suddenly they see threats everywhere and they start to withdraw. And the consequences of this are massive. Just like an aging chimpanzee leader who avoids a fight by suddenly pretending to be fascinated with a leaf, a nation that's slipping down the pecking order often just pretends not to see danger. A great example is America's initial, very muted reaction when Japan sank the USS Panane back in 1937. Denial, it turns out, is a symptom of falling status. All right, so now let's put it all together. Let's connect these three forces: the superorganism that we're all a part of, the memes that drive it, and the biological pecking order that governs its competition. When we combine them, we finally arrive at the startling central paradox of this whole theory. And here it is, the core of the Lucifer principle. The very same tools that build our greatest civilizations, our deep urge to form groups, the powerful ideas that unite us, and the primal competition for status are the exact same forces that lead to our worst atrocities. Our devotion becomes the engine of our destruction. And that leaves us with a deeply unsettling question to ponder. If our capacity for what we call evil is really just a byproduct of the same natural tools that give us cooperation, culture, and progress, then how are we supposed to fight it? How do you choose a side in a battle where the angels and the devils are born from the exact same impulse? That's something to think about.